Welcome to Q&A Wednesday. Excited to have you here. One of the big questions that I have been asked over the last week is around how to use social media in order to get ourselves out there, in order to create powerful brands, remarkable marketing that generates a result. Now, the big thing around this though is that people are like, okay, I can use social media. That is awesome. That's brilliant. We've got LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of the platforms. But the next thing that I was asked, so I was running a think tank in a room for some amazing businesswomen on Friday. And one of the things that I straight away went and did is like, okay, I've got to run webinars. Awesome. How long do they need to be? How often do I need to run them? Is once a month enough? So one of the things that I thought was really interesting, these are experts in their industry. These are women who are powerful, motivated, they're out there, they're doing great things, they're successful by anybody's definition, and they were all jumping to tactics. So using a webinar in order to generate clients is a tactic, right? A video is a tactic. Putting up a podcast is a tactic. So the thing that we need to make sure is that if you don't know how to do something, we can't just go straight to a tactical implementation. We've got to come back a step and go, okay, well, yeah, a webinar might be right for you, or putting together a blog might be right, or putting together a podcast, or doing video, or doing live video, or setting up a YouTube channel. All of that stuff may be the way forward, but before we do that, we've got to come back and actually work out what is the strategy that we're going to use with these platforms and why is it important. So that brings us back to our plan. So your plan is going to be different to the person next to you, which is different to somebody else in another industry, which is different to mine, right? So there's no point in going straight to tactic unless we understand the strategy and unless that ties in with your plan. So the big jump that people usually make is like, okay, I want to get more clients and I want to be online and I'm going to use a webinar to do that. But most people don't understand what we need to do within that in order to be able to do it. So it was really interesting that one of the questions was, well, how do you run a webinar? What platform should I use? How often should I run them? How often should I do video on Facebook? How often should I do video on LinkedIn? Do they have to be different? Can they be the same? Do I do it vertically or do I do it horizontally? So all of that depends on what we're going to be using all of that for. So we've got to come back a bit. We've got to come back in a strategy land rather than jumping straight into tactic land, because it'll be different. Yours will be different based on what you want versus somebody else's. The other thing that most people miss is looking at the foundational part. So branding is a tactic. Marketing is a tactic. A Facebook ad is a tactic. A LinkedIn ad is a tactic. Putting out a proposal is a tactic. We've got to come back. So if we're looking at the foundation, where is it that you're going? What is it that you want to achieve? How do you want to be able to do that? And then we build a strategy around that. We look at frequency, we look at timing, we look at your audience. Super, super important to know your audience and what they need, what's going to work for them. So I usually run my webinars, tactic, at 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Most of my people are entrepreneurs or business owners who have the flexibility to either take an extended lunch break or they work from home in their home office or whatever it might be, right? That doesn't mean that your people are going to respond to a 12 or a 1 o'clock webinar. It might be that you have to do it at 7 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. You have to test and measure and work out what is going to work for your audience. So just because I say you need to run a webinar every week doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So it just depends on your people. It also depends on the outcome that you want. It depends on the resources that you have available, not just financial resources, but resourcing, right? Do you have team? Do you have to build it all on your own? Do you have someone that you can outsource this stuff to? What have you got around you that you can draw upon? So please, I think the big thing that I have really had highlighted to me is that we can't jump straight to tactic without understanding a strategy first. And that strategy needs to tie into your overall plan. So if you find yourself going, oh, I'm going to go buy that Instagram course, or I'm going to go and buy that thing on thought leadership, or I'm going to go and buy that thing on how to write a book, or I'm going to go and buy that thing on how to run a webinar. That's fine, but make sure that you've got that help and support with bringing it back to what the primary goal is for you. Okay, so that is Q&A Wednesday. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me. I would love to answer them for you. You can find me all over the place. So here you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, my website. And I hope that you have a really awesome day. Looking forward to answering your questions in our next Q&A Wednesday. Bye-bye.